My name is Teresa Anderson. I am head of marketing at Agorapulse, and I have with me today a very talented and smart leader who's going to share their T3 with us. For those of you who aren't familiar with 15.5, it's our series where we give just jam-packed, action-filled 15 minutes with an executive sharing their trend that they're following, a tech that they're using, and a tactic that's working for them. So it's super action-packed. Get out your pen and pencil, find out what they're learning to get, what they're using to get success, and we'll be in and out in 15 minutes. That's our promise to you. So I am going to bring in our special guest today, Jennifer Best. Jennifer, I want you to introduce yourself and share with everybody a little bit about you and your org.
Sure. Thank you so much, Trace, for having me today. Jennifer Best. I am the Vice President of Marketing with atAAE Speakers Bureau. We are based in Durham, North Carolina. And what I do in my job is that I work to promote the brand and the sentiment around our company. Our company is a Speakers Bureau, so we work with meeting organizers and event planners to help find professional keynote speakers and entertainers for corporate events. So it's a really super fun industry. I've been doing this about 3 years, but I've been in marketing a little bit longer than that. So,
awesome. So when you say that you're part of a speakers bureau, give us a little bit of an idea of like your team size, and then maybe like if people are spread out, are they all in the same office? Are you doing hybrid? What are you guys doing these days? Like, where's your team
Sure.
And how are they doing? Because that's going to give context to the recommendations you're going to make today.
Absolutely. So our company is growing. I can say that confidently. Roles that are considered marketing, we have 2 departments really. Marketing department, which is under my view, which is responsible for the branding, our search optimization programs, communications, email marketing, social media marketing, PR, all of those things, marketing automation being probably the biggest. And then we have a dedicated team of content writers who are called our talent relations team. And our talent relations team, we work so closely with them. They create a lot of different talent profiles and make those pages really compelling so that when Google finds our pages, they love our pages because they're content rich and super informative. The content team, or talent team rather, they also are responsible for finding new speakers and new entertainers to add to our site. And then my team will work with them to make sure that everything is presented in a way that converts and drives revenue for the business.
Wow.
So our total team, I would say right now I've got a team of 4. The talent team is an additional team of 6.
Wow.
But we work together really closely, of course, like across the whole organization. Our company is just under 50 employees.
Wow. I didn't think you were going to say you had that many people on the talent team. So that's really exciting. It kind of shows where your focus is as an organization. So that's really helpful. Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that. So let's jump right into it. We're going to talk about a trend that you're following. And when I saw this, my heart leapt a little bit because this is such a big deal right now. Tell us about generative AI. How are you guys using that?
Well, I mean, I don't know. We only have 15 minutes. So generative AI. I mean, obviously everybody's heard of ChatGPT. We've been working with it for a couple of months before it really blew up earlier this year. I can tell you just firsthand, working in the speaking and the event industry, we get so many requests for speakers on this topic that it is a lot of people are in the same boat, right? They don't know exactly what it means. For us, we're using it as a marketing team. We're using it to help generate and brainstorm ideas. We're using it also a little bit on our content creation, talent creation profile side to generate ideas there for the content we want to create. But we're really looking forward to taking some of this technology and integrating it into our systems behind the scenes to help us to keep content up to date. When I mentioned that the size of our talent relationship team, that team is so big because we have hundreds of thousands of profiles that we're responsible for. And so that is a lot of content ongoing. And if you think about it, how often people change jobs or change roles within companies, they're responsible for keeping that as up to date as possible, as current as possible. So this is where generative AI is going to really be a game changer for us because it'll help us to alert us to changes when they happen or help us update that content immediately.
Wow. That's amazing. And you know what? There's a lot of marketers in that same boat where you have tons of content and and the landscape is constantly changing, and that need to update is often underestimated when people talk about their content strategy. Like, that is a big deal. Every piece of content that you have out there, it's a big responsibility to keep it all fresh. So yes, I think a lot of people can relate to that. How about generative AI? I love it for brainstorming. I love it for first drafts. I think it's great for that. Are you guys using it in social media at all?
We are a little bit to generate some of the posting that we do. I'm using it mostly as, like you said, like brainstorming, like a blog outline, for example.
Right.
Like the recent blog post that I wrote, it helped me kind of create the framework for what I wanted to talk about, but then I wrote the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I don't see it replacing yet. I just think it's going to be a really great idea of like how you can figure out where you want to focus, because you can focus on all these different topics. Right. Where should you be focusing? This is what people are talking about, and that's what's showing up.
Yeah, that's awesome. I always think it's just like I always think of generative AI as a way to avoid blank page-itis. It's hard to start with a blank page. I have had it before where it's given me stuff, and then I've used none of it, but it helped me get started because I didn't have to look at a blank page. Okay, yeah. Great trend. Something that a lot of our marketers can identify with. Let's talk tech, because you decided to go controversial on everything here. Tech. Here are Threads, 3 days old. You're experimenting it, you're testing it. What do you think? What do you think the potential is for Threads? The big question is do you think it will unseat Twitter? Like, that's the
so I'm not a huge fan of Twitter, but that's more as a marketer. For us, it's not a channel that converts well for us, and knowing that is half the battle. But with Threads was really interesting because Instagram is a channel that performs well for us. So we jumped in there pretty quickly, and we've been using it as kind of a testing ground. I think it's fun to be part of a social media channel at the start. Granted, I will preface this with, yes, I was an early user of Clubhouse back in the day, and like I jumped on in there. And what I found what I found though, here's the thing, as marketers, you guys know this, like the best thing you can do is find people that are your target audience and active conversations, so you can glean what they're talking about when they're talking about it. And that's what Clubhouse did. And that's sort of what gets me excited about new channels like this before they get, I don't know, overtaken maybe with a lot of noise, is that you actually can read conversations and you see terminology, and it helps you be a better marketer to reach those audiences you're trying for.
Yeah, and in my world, we would call that listening. And listening is on social media specifically. And that is huge because it gives you intelligence that you can't get anywhere else. And it's real, and it's live, and it's up to date. Like, that is especially in marketing spaces that change so rapidly. I always feel like that's the biggest challenge with marketing, because everything is changing every day. So we're literally chasing the zeitgeist. So if you're a marketer, then being on a social media platform, especially a new one where everything's kind of, like you said, raw and fresh, that's huge. So, but you didn't answer my question. Do you think, I know Twitter's not a big one for you, but you got to get on the record. Do you think it's going to unseat Twitter? Does it have that? Do you think that integrate, which I think that integration with Instagram is going to be key there?
I don't think it's going to unseat Twitter, but it's definitely going to make Twitter, obviously they're paying attention to this, right? It's going to have to become a better platform. It's going to have to become a kinder platform to some extent. I think that's sort of the value prop behind Threads, is that it seems to be, at least from what I can see of it, a little bit more of a humanistic approach and not so much of the negative. And I think, that could change. I mean, people's sentiment changes. There's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot coming up with elections, and we don't know what's going to happen. But I don't see it unseating Twitter, but my wish is to see it make Twitter better.
Oh, yeah, that's actually, that's not a lot of people are talking about that I've heard, but that's true. Maybe the competition of Threads will tone some of that negativity on Twitter down. I think too, in this conversation, we have to talk about the fact that love meta moderation or hate meta moderation, there is a police force that they have that's been honed over how many years. And that's comforting to businesses. That's comforting to clients, that moderation is in effect. Like I said, love it or hate it, it's there. It's not the wild, wild west. And meta is kind of a known. So it'll be interesting to see how it emerges. I'm so glad that you brought this up, though, because it is so timely and so many people have their eye on it.
It's been fun. Test it out. Give it a go. You don't know until you get in there. Our brand, we're just testing messaging right now, seeing what's working, and our audience is showing up there. So that's important too. If your audience is there, you should be there.
Yeah, you should be there. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to get in there. Like you said, listen, pay attention to the conversations that are happening and how they're developing. That's huge.
Right.
All right, we're going to move on now to tactic. Everybody loves a good tactic, especially one that's working. And I feel like you picked a classic here. You went with the classic. Tell us what you're doing. And of course, I'm going to pay specific attention to comments here around organic, because that's what Agora Pulse does, organic social media. But tell me about search marketing as a tactic.
Absolutely. So I'm very fortunate to work for a company that was founded by a guy who got into search optimization in like 2002.
Oh, wow.
Back when I was first learning about it too. And he really started building this business around the principle of people finding us online. And so because of that strength, he's built up this company over 2 decades and longer now, that really has some strong foundation around search optimization. And it's always been a key priority for us. For a marketer, this is the most unique place to work, because I've always been a digital marketer, and coming in here, it was like a candy store, because normally, the marketing mix is a little bit more balanced, or usually you're struggling on the search marketing side, and then the event marketing and email is solid.
Right.
This was like 180 for me. So we really are very fortunate. Like I said, we have a sizable team. We have dedicated content writers. They're super smart. We also have on my team dedicated paid and organic search analyst manager.
Oh, wow.
So he is constantly monitoring all of our campaigns and our programs, and we're adjusting spends on the fly. The hardest thing though is keeping ahead of Google changes. And we talked at the beginning about AI. That's one that I'm keeping an eye on with this, because I think that AI is going to also change search.
Yeah, it's definitely changing paid ads already. So what are you guys doing around organic as far as, and I'm assuming this is is this organic web traffic in general, or organic social media specifically? Or when you're looking at your marketing around organic traffic, what are you looking at?
Sure. We're honestly, it's our organic web traffic. So what we're doing typically, we always focus on obviously content, right? You have to have good content that Google likes, but then you have to remember you've got all the technical elements behind the scenes that no matter how good your content is, if your site speed is crap, sorry, I hope I can say that. If your site speed's no good.
You're being kind, Jennifer. You're being kind. Crap. That's kind.
Thanks. Okay. So if your site navigation doesn't make sense, if your bounce rate's just horrendous, like all of those elements still have to work, even if your content is great. If those things don't work, then none of it works. But recent years, we focused on, I mentioned at the beginning, branding. We're doing a lot of backlink strategies right now and finding authoritative sites to be published in. And that's helping us from an SEO perspective as well as a brand perspective. And that's where I think like the win is finding that mix. And so that's kind of all of that together is helping to drive our search optimization efforts.
Yeah, well, I kudos to your team and to your founder for being ahead of the game on SEO. I do feel like it's one of those things that exponentially pays off over time. So what stands out to me here is the fact that you guys have been doing SEO for so long. And that's such a, like you said, that's such a luxury. That's such a kid in the candy store for as far as the traffic that you have, because that really does exponentially over time build on itself, SEO. So kudos to your founder and owner that he invested in that and is so ahead of the curve. And that makes obviously that's such a good foundation for everything that you're doing. So lucky you, I would say. I'm sure a lot of our marketers and the audience are envious. Let me ask you a question though. Like when you're looking at your traffic, since it seems to be an area that you guys are really focused on, what percentage are you seeing that's like direct traffic? Or how much are you able to attribute as far as where your stuff's coming from?
Yeah, direct traffic is always going to be there. Like I think it's like about 10 or 15% of our total.
Oh gosh. Okay. You're doing great.
But like because of all of the recent changes with cookies and the way things are tracked, like we almost always make the assumption that direct traffic is search traffic, because it could just be untrackable traffic, and that's sort of how we consider it.
Right.
But and we do have a small percentage of like referral traffic from other sites that happens, but more often than not, we see it time and time again where even current customers come back in through the same inbound search channels or paid search channels a second time, a third time. So it's definitely working, and we're thankful that it's working as well as it is.
Yeah, that's really nice. We again, social media space, that's our space that we live in, but the whole dark social idea, the idea that people are coming in from word of mouth, typing your URL in, that it remains a challenge, I'm sure, that every marketer is facing. And, being able to track back where your traffic comes from is such a challenge. And SEO, it's great that you guys are investing in that area. And it seems like you're doing really well with being able to know where your traffic is coming from. So again, I envy you there. That's a nice thing to have. So tactic here for Jennifer is good old search marketing. And it seems like they are knocking it out of the park over there. So let's do a quick recap.
Sure.
The trend that you're watching is generative AI, you and everybody else. The tech that you're loving right now is threads. I think you and everybody else. And then tactic, classic search marketing. This is the OG, and you're knocking it out of the park, and you're being able to see where your traffic's coming from, which is delightful. So I think that's it. We're about to the end of our 15 minutes of time that we have here. We are going to be taking questions in the chat, so feel free to drop questions in there. And also, I know that you wanted to mention, Jennifer, something that you guys are working on over with your team.
Yeah, sure. So one of the things that we produce every single year is our speaking industry benchmark report. So if you are a marketer that works with corporate events, planning events, or you are somebody who works in the speaking industry and performs on stage, then you might want to download a copy of this, and I will make sure you have the link to that.
Yep.
We'll drop it in the chat so you can access that report, but it's really insightful, and it kind of marries the information from both parties so that before you book your next speaker or get booked as a speaker, you'll want to know kind of what to expect.
Awesome. That's a great resource. And I'm sure everybody's going to check out the link for that in the chat. We also want to invite you to sign up so that you don't miss the 15 fives. If you type that bit.ly in, I'll also drop it in the link. It'll allow you to sign up for reminders, not marketing emails, just reminders to make sure you don't miss 15 5 sessions when they come up like this one. And then the last thing is, if you do want to take a demo of Agorapulse, see how we use listening as part of our platform so that you can keep track of what's happening everywhere. We're not on threads yet, just, the API is not there yet, but we are talking to our meta partners about that. But you can see Agorapulse in action, including listening for the other platforms. That's available to you. Again, I'll drop the chat link in the chat. So that's it. I think we're done. Jennifer, this was delightful. I appreciate you joining me today and sharing a little peek inside the magic that you guys are working on over there.
Thank you so much for having me today. Bye, everybody.
My pleasure. Bye, guys.